So, welcome everyone.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Welcome everyone to another dry run. We are, I guess this is episode 17, 18, 19. I lost count for a little bit. It was wonderful to have Kitty Martz on the last episode. She's the executive director of Voices in Problem Gambling and Recovery, and I plan to have her back. She had a good time, and we had a good time, I think, with her. But I lost count in
Definitely.
there, so I'm talking about the count of them. Like there's somebody at home going, "Wait, let me grab a piece of paper. Let me write this down." But I misnumbered, so just for my own completist nature, I have to change the number. She's going to be Kitty Martz is 17A.
17A. Okay.
just well, welcome. We missed last week because of a loss of a dear friend of mine, OnyxRose, and so as some of you might know, she passed away kind of unexpectedly from lung cancer recently, and as a result of that, we've had sort of an experience, for lack of a better word, both in her treatment and in her passing. And though death is not never a comfortable topic to talk about, I thought we could talk a little bit about what happens. We all seem to, there's like a natural inclination to wonder what happens to ourselves after we pass, and what the next life looks like. I think we're more hesitant as human beings to think about what happens to our remains or our family members after we go explore that unknown. And I'm certainly not qualified to talk about the unknown, but I have a little bit of understanding of what happens through both the lived experience that I had over this week and in my experiences being a lawyer. I will say I never wrote a will. And you don't usually go to a podiatrist when you have lung problems. But my area of practice is more in trial work, and so I would often say proudly that I never wrote a will. And I'm not going to talk about writing wills, but I do want to talk about kind of what we've been going through with Autumn and what that could maybe mean for you, or for your loved ones rather, and some thoughts to what you may wish to do. It's a trigger warning. I want to do that. This is going to be about death, and this is someone who died suddenly from a terrible illness. But death is death, and so please have that trigger warning in mind. And then afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about a wonderful movie. Way to switch sort of emotional whiplash there, but switch to a wonderful movie called Boy Meets Girl, which we'll talk about at the end. It also, I guess, for lack of a better word, could be triggering. It does have some transphobia in it, but it's also probably a wonderful happy ending story, and it's just a beautiful story and movie, and we'll talk about it too. So welcome everyone. I'm sorry I've babbled on. I want to thank OnyxRose here for joining me again and for being on. It's wonderful to see you again. You look amazing.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
So do you.
Yeah. And I know that you were involved in some of this as it went along too.
Right.
You were someone that both Autumn and I reached out to at certain points, and you were of course filling in for the show, and
Right.
you were privy to some of the ups and downs of the whole process. So I know that
Right.
that you know some of this is emotionally difficult for me and to talk about, but I think it's important, and so I guess we'll kind of begin with a little bit of background on the hospitalization. So she went in, she was having back problems. And so she went in to go get diagnosed regarding her back problems. And she couldn't really get out of bed. So she got an ambulance. And in that assessment of her, it was determined that she had lung cancer and that it had spread to other parts of her body. And so we went in roller coaster rides. There's a point where they expected her to live about 24 hours. And so we did some massive planning there. And I was given healthcare power of attorney. What that means for those of you who may not have that experience, when you go into the hospital for an operation, for example, and you're going to be under an anesthesia and unconscious, you might appoint someone to be your healthcare power of attorney, someone who could make decisions should there be complications in that procedure while you're under anesthesia, who can respond when the doctor says, should we do A, B, or C, right? And they need someone's input. Thank you. I just saw some of the
Thanks,
comments up there.
misuse.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much. It's very sweet. Yeah. And so you would designate someone as your healthcare power of attorney. So they only have power, so to speak, while you're alive and while you're unconscious or unable to act. Um, and you can do the same should you be sort of like put on a ventilator, like that procedure goes wrong, and you're put on a ventilator for a period of time. Whether it be like a medical need kind of coma or whatever. You might have to designate someone as a financial power of attorney because the power of attorney for your healthcare is just healthcare. Autumn liked to say, "Talk to my power of attorney." When she was dealing with certain things, it was like I had to go, "Honey, no, no, no." That's not what that means. But I thought it was sweet. But and so you have someone who you can designate as your financial power of attorney. You could pay your bills or go into your bank to make sure that certain things are have access to your credit cards, etc. And that's a type of power of attorney that you can also provide when you're alive. And it only functions while you're alive. There are other protections like HIPAA protections, like if you needed to share your medical records for some reason. I won't go into it, but Autumn had an attorney who needed access to her medical records. And so we had to sign HIPAA authorizations to get them access so that they could continue a trial. And so there are other things that you can do that a healthcare power of attorney could do in that regard too. But as for all of these powers, they exist only while the person is alive. And then after they're alive, and this might be shocking to some, but people die every day who have no money. And so there is a system in place that helps for people in that situation. Certainly large hospitals have designated staffs who can walk you through. I learned that. They're wonderful at OHSU, who assist you in what to do. In our particular instance, and this was, Autumn was estranged from her family. I dug up her father's phone number when she first went in, and we believed that she had 24 hours to live, and reached out to him to try and give him an update as to what was happening to his daughter, and he blocked me, and so that side of Autumn's family ignored her situation. And so that left her with found family, and most of the intestate laws, the laws of probate, things like that, um, include biological family and siblings, or people you appoint. And most people don't think or want to think about who they might need to appoint. So, in Autumn's situation, we had this period where we thought she had 24 hours possibly to live, or that she was going to go into a procedure in the morning that would potentially render her unconscious. We were told better than 50%. She beat those odds, at least in that one. And she came out of that glowingly. So we had a moment where all of that work that we had discussed, yeah, vanished because it no longer became necessary, and we were under the expectation that she was going to live for at least several years. And so, unfortunately, that's not how it went. She had further complications and went rather quickly, actually. Um, but so she did not have any directives in place. She had no will. She was houseless, so she didn't exactly have a lot of assets. And she does have a biological child, but she's estranged from that entire relationship. So when she died, we could not claim her body. So her body is taken to the morgue, and held until it could be released to a funeral home. And none of us have power to release her body or to make arrangements for cremation or burial or anything like that. And the father was not, who would be the next in line under the intestate laws, since she was not married at the time, was ignoring everyone's efforts to contact her or contact him, which left everyone sort of in a bind. There are other things that needed to be notified. Social Security needed to be notified. All of these financial institutions needed to be notified. And again, no power to do any of that.
Right.
We needed access to certain documents to see whether the VA could offer any assistance, and we couldn't obtain copies of. I'm sorry, I keep whacking this. Couldn't obtain documents of her DD 214 or any of those important documents And we didn't have power to close our accounts, any of those things. So we were told basically by the hospital that they've made efforts to reach out to her biological father too, and they were not getting responses, and she can't be just left there. So they would generously said, let's start making plans under the anticipation that I believe in Oregon, if it's 10 days, then someone can be appointed. So we're making those arrangements, but we don't yet have the ability to actually do anything with the dominoes. They're ready to be tapped,
Right.
so that everything falls into place. But we don't have the authority to do the tapping just yet. And so you can make appointments like that. You can plan for people who can have those powers after your death, even in a found family. And I know that most people don't like to think of wills or how to do wills, or and the hospitals will give you advanced directive information, so that the forms that you can go over and think about what you want, whether you want to be on a tube or not, or whether you want to be on a ventilator or not, those kinds of things, for how long, and you can be very specific. They give you space, and but wills are a little bit more specialized, and and what happens even if you have a will, it doesn't magically make your executor the person you named in your will to have the rights or powers to act on your behalf that way. It doesn't automatically grant them authority. They still have to get a letter, not a letter, but something from the court that basically gives, it might even be considered a letter of appointment, but something from the court that basically gives them the authority. So when you go in and say, I'm the executor of the estate, you have that with you. And that allows you to close that bank account or whatever it might be, make arrangements at the funeral home. But that's
Right.
so, some things don't have to go through probate, but kind of they do in a way, even if you have no assets, and even if you have a will that disperses all of them, because you still, for the executor, would need those powers. But, Autumn, again, she was houseless, and she didn't have a lot. So um, it there is a process even for those who are completely unclaimed and who are in that situation too, and how the state handles that. Luckily, we didn't have to worry about that, but there is a situation there too. But it's very difficult because, of course, you're in a loss. I certainly was. I I Autumn was my best friend, and I loved her dearly. And she could be a lot. I can be a lot, but she could be a lot. We all can. That's the best part. And I liked her a lot. Her a lot was kind of fun when it was in motion with my a lot. And so, um, but it's difficult when that void happens, and then you have to make these arrangements, and it can be quite and so you would maybe appoint a couple people who could handle it in case the executor can't do it. Executor A can't do it, or Bob can't do it. You have Stephen ready to go underneath, or something like that, rather than leave Bob just sort of leaves you hanging. But anyway, again, I've never written a will. None of this is legal advice. My God, I wouldn't take that legal advice from me. But there is some thought that should go into this, especially if you're in a situation like I am, where my father's intentions, if he were to take over, would be to bury me under my dead name. And I don't want
Yeah.
that, and I know Autumn doesn't want that. And so my hope is that her father continues to ignore it all. And that she can be laid to rest the way that she wants to be laid to rest, the way that she expressed to us. Wasn't in writing, but Autumn recorded everything, so it's on video. So it's some of her wishes are there. There were some gaps that were to be filled in, but we filled them in as best we think we can for her, the way she would want them. And we hope to have an actual memorial in the spring of 2027, because people have to make arrangements to fly it from out of state. So we're going to have some space in between. But we're also, the radio station, which I'm proud to report, the radio station is going to host a memorial service fundraiser that will be helpful in assisting with cremation. And then until the memorial service in the spring of 2027, she'll rest with me. So I'll take care of her. She'll move in with me, so to speak, and and then when it's time, we'll spread her ashes the way she wishes to be spread. So, but that's the goal. But I can tell you this much: the tension of having a hospital call saying, "Okay, so we got to make these arrangements," and then you saying, "Great," but I don't, A, know what to do, and then B, I have no authority even if I did, and then having that fear that she would just sit there, um, and so, and I know that she's off exploring the great beyond and having,
Right.
all of her questions are answered now, I guess, but I don't know,
Mm.
or maybe it's just a new way of learning. But I know she would have wanted certain things that because they went so fast and it went in such a roller coaster that we weren't able to actually discuss. So have that discussion with your loved one. I know it's not a dinner date kind of thing, but have that kind of discussion, and maybe make those plans at least known to someone, in some way, so that you can avoid that. Um, and then hope with me that Adam's father ignores the letters or whatever.
Yes,
I mean,
please.
I've
Please.
never, right, exactly. Certified letters scare certain people anyway. So, who knows? I know they scare me. I've
Right.
never received a good certified letter. So, but
Right.
who knows? Maybe they'll go unclaimed and we'll be able to do what Autumn wanted. Um, and lay to rest as Autumn, which is definitely what she wanted. But it was one of the things that I note most is that in her treatment, when they were planning her cancer treatment, is that she always wanted to make sure that she was going to be able to stay on her hormones. Um,
Yes,
and
yes.
yes, and Autumn and I were aware of, and I'm not sure. I know it's Alexandra Billings, but I don't remember if it was Grey's Anatomy or ER, one of those. But Alexandra Billings played a character who had cancer, and I guess her HRT was interfering and someone making it worse, or that was the moral dilemma that her character, the arc she had. So Autumn and I were aware of that. We used to kind of, I don't want to say make fun of it, but we were kind of like, gonna go down on HRT, right?
Right.
And it's easy to say when you sit on the couch. It's a
Right.
lot more different when you're actually laying in the ICU. And to her credit,
Right.
God damn it, she wanted to make sure that she was still going to be taking
Well,
her HRT no matter what. Um, it was Grey's Anatomy.
this is
Thank you
Grey's
very much,
Anatomy.
Serge. Yeah,
Uh,
thank you. Hi there, by the way. Hi, Stu. Um, yeah, so yeah, that was Autumn in a nutshell, quite a bit. She is missed, and she will be missed. There are arrangements being made, and so and with a little foresight, some of these arrangements could have made much more or easier. Thankfully, there are laws here too that are making it a little bit easier too. But I don't know what the state laws are in other states. I just learned the laws here for Oregon just recently, so at least in this arena. But check them, check your own, talk to a lawyer. I don't know if you want your neighbor Bob to do it, or Uncle Bob you see at the family picnic every year, or if you want to go to someone special. Anyone could pretty much, if they, it's one of those things that's kind of said that a general practitioner lawyer can do. There are specialized people. Uh, you may have more assets than God knows Autumn or I do. So who knows? But look at your situation. You may have kids. You may have plans that you want to set aside for them. And these are all things that you can talk about with your loved one, and then if you need to talk to a lawyer about. But it's
oh,
oop oop.
sorry.
Did I say
Sorry.
something that got us called out by the? I mean, it's not paranoia. We're
No,
really
no,
after you.
no. I actually.
What did we do? What did I say? Oh my god.
I pressed the wrong button.
Oh, that's hilarious. No worries. No worries. Oh my gosh. I'm just babbling anyway. So, I don't even know what time it is. Did I lose track of time?
It's 9:24.
Yeah. How are you? How
Oh,
are
on
you,
my
Onyx
East
Rose?
Coast. I'm good. Had
Yeah.
a kind of a down day, to be completely honest. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I just think thinking about autumn was,
Yeah.
bringing me down a little. But, yeah, I'm good
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
good to
know.
talk
Good.
to you, so
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's good to talk to
Uh,
you too. I enjoy it always.
how are you
Um,
doing?
I want to, first of all, I'm going to give a shout out to the movie that you picked because, of course, it's one of those movies that just kind of makes you feel good, right? So excellent
Right.
choice for a day like today. And it's about community too, in a way, I mean, and trying to figure out what you're going to do with your loved one involves community, and sometimes, and And this movie is very community driven too, family, friends, all of that. Um,
Right.
but and so I've been kind of like going through a stage of anhedonia, right, where I can't like feel anything,
Yeah.
nothing feels good, nothing tastes good, nothing sounds good. So I
Right.
want to give like a special shout out to a comedian, Jeff Akurai. Um, I said Aruchi for a long time, but it's Akurai. Jeff Akurai has I discovered him. I noticed, found whatever him on Reddit many years ago, and I was on Reddit for a long time, and he he did something with comedy on Reddit that was different than the other comedians who were promoting themselves, and he built a community and a following on Reddit that was really sweet and fun. Cool beans, if you if you know, you know. But he became popular, and he sort of elevated in platforms, and rose in platforms, and was finally touring, though touring a larger audience, than just bars. And I got the pleasure of seeing him here in Portland a while back. He was very funny. He does a great crowd work. He's just amazing at being able to he has a charm and a natural sort of, I don't know, a way about him that just sort of puts people at ease, and then just talks, and he's very funny and very pointed. And the crowd is always on his side. That's hard to do when you do crowd work. In the crowd, you lose the crowd. you know,
Right.
just some guy at the bar who's had 3 beers. It's not good. You want to maintain the crowd. So it's risky, and he was very, very good at it. And he disappeared. He seemed to be like he married, I guess, one of the Bachelorettes, who was a woman who was on the Bachelorette, and he was kind of telling jokes about that and touring about that, and then he just suddenly disappeared for a couple of years, and it seemed like, and
Hmm.
in my sadness over the week, in my anhedonia, I turned on, I saw that he had a special on Netflix, and it was new, and I turned it on, and I just I want special shout out to him, because I found myself laughing almost through the entire thing, which is like the first time I laughed in a long time, and then it was crying
And
laugh, and then it was so
a
thanks.
necessary release.
Yes. Yeah, and it was wonderful that it could
Mm.
be his comedy special, and, so if you get a chance and you have Netflix, I wanna say I highly recommend Jeff or Akari. It's very
Mm.
good, and he's very funny and very cute, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, because it certainly helped me at a time when I really needed to laugh, so thank you. Um, yeah.
Right.
Um, yeah. Yes, that's true. But, I mean, uh, oh, name your poison, take your what is it? I don't know, choose you go to war with the army you have. Oh god, that was Rumsfeld. I don't think I wanna do that
Right.
either.
Right. Mhm.
Oh, anyway,
Right.
um, I don't know where I went. I digressed there, sorry, but, yeah, I thought
Mm.
Jeff was great, and I like stand-up comedy, and I think those specials are fun, and I much prefer stand-up in a bar, but I'm hesitant to go out to those. So anyway, so yeah,
Um,
yeah. Sorry about that. We were talking about a wonderful your day, and then we're going to talk about a wonderful movie, and I got sidetracked. Um,
right. No.
yeah.
Day is good. Like Egg is not home,
Ah,
so
okay.
she is away for the week.
Hmm.
So it's just me, my brother-in-law, and my dog.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's a change. It's a little quiet. My brother-in-law is gone like most of the day.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I get the place to myself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was good just to relax.
That's
Not
good. Hmm.
not stress. Try not to stress. Yes.
I know what you mean. I had a goal of like completing 2 or 3 things that I needed to get done today, and I managed to do 2 of them. So if that's a little,
Oh,
better than
good.
par. Yeah, better than I planned. So and
Right.
I'm sorry,
No, I
you
was
broke up.
just agreeing with you. That's
Uh,
good.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, 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 no. And I thought you were saying something, and I cut you
Okay.
off,
Yeah.
which I sometimes do a lot of.
Oh,
But
no.
oh,
No, I'm just babbling right
cool,
now.
cool. That's exactly, yeah. But I accomplished a few things. I don't know. Kitty's anyway. So yeah. Um, What was I going to say? I lost it. So let's go back to the movie. So I've seen the movie before,
Okay.
and I think it's a sweet,
Okay.
wonderful movie. Um, and
Right.
and and what I enjoy most about it was that there were these intense scenes where you expected someone to get hurt, maybe if it was more like real life, but instead there, it, the conflict is resolved in other ways, potentially, you know, but it doesn't go where I want or think it to go. I don't want to say want it
Well,
to go, but
let's yeah, let's kind of back up and kind of set the scene.
okay, yeah, yeah, it's your choice. It's
If you
your
want.
choice. So
Yeah.
no, it's your
Okay.
choice. You go run with it. So,
Okay. Well,
uh,
they're just so the movie takes place in a small town in Kentucky, or
mhm,
supposedly. It is so small town life. Um, it's 2014. The principal characters are in their early 20s.
mhm,
One of them, Ricky, is a woman who is working at a coffee shop. Works 7 days a week to save money. Her desire is to be a what type of clothing? What is it?
fashion
A
designer.
clothing designer, clothing
Yeah,
maker,
mhm,
fashion designer. Yeah.
yeah,
So she's trying to get into school in New York City, but she's in Kentucky. Her best friend's name is Robbie, Robbie and Ricky have been friends for since the age of 5.
yeah,
Um,
mhm,
best friends since the age of 5. W The way the show goes is that she is asking, a girl comes into the coffee shop while Robbie is sitting there and while Ricky is, making coffee, and the girl then, like, immediately gives Ricky a compliment. She says, "I love the way your bangs go like that."
right,
And Ricky automatically says, "Well, I love that big old fat sparkling ring on your finger." And then the girl's like, "Oh, so that's how the movie starts.
mhm,
And there's some flashbacks to when Ricky and Robbie were younger. And one particular flashback is I don't know what you would call. I don't remember what you call him. It's a guy who's wearing a trench coat, nothing else, and he comes
oh,
up to this bunch of kids. What do you
oh,
call him? Like a flasher?
I think that was the term, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, with the trench
I
coat,
don't know what you call it.
the if you're gonna
Yeah,
use it in comedy trope, that's usually the way you do it, so, yeah.
the creepy man with with the trench coat. So he comes up to this bunch of kids and he's like, "Trick or treat," or he goes, "Trick or treat," and he opens his trench coat.
Yeah, right.
All the kids run away except for one, and she is wearing a dress, and
Mhm.
she pulls up her dress and says, "Treat or
Right,
trick," and then she said, and there's an officer there, and she says, "Oh, help,
right,
please,"
right, yeah,
and the officer comes and arrests the trench coat guy. The purpose of saying that is that Robbie was there and he ran away. Mm, as- Aside from that instance, Robbie has been by Ricky's side the whole time.
mm,
What we learn as we go on is that Ricky is trans. Um, she's a trans woman,
yeah,
and Robbie is her best friend. Ricky is looking for love, as we all tend to do at that age.
mhm,
We all want
sure.
somebody to share our time with, and she is looking
Fill
for
the life with.
love, and not
Yeah,
just for hookup.
right,
Right, right.
yeah.
So okay, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, 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 I think that's thank you, that's perfect. It reminds me of sort of like a small town, not a large town, but a town that has a center and some social life and things like that, but you imagine that pretty much everyone who went to high school there knows, somebody who was like the ice
Right,
captain of the football team or knows about people, and what their lives were like growing up. You can get a reputation, you can tell from this town just by the way you grew up. I don't know.
right. And
Maybe that's
as
I mean, it's mhm, go. I'm sorry.
Oh, as Ricky says, she was just one of the kids until they started dividing kids into boys and girls in grade school,
Mhm.
and she would end up sitting on the sidelines, because she was not allowed with the girls and not allowed with the boys. She uh, What'd she say? She had PE until her breasts grew in,
Mm,
and
mhm.
and then they just gave her an excuse to not go to
Right,
PE,
right,
so she
yeah.
didn't play with the boys or the girls.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, but, she's grown up in this small town, and everybody who knows her knows she's trans.
Right.
She's very open about it.
Yeah, she's
Her
not hiding who
father
she
is
is. Yeah.
accepting, her brother is accepting.
Mhm.
She is not hiding, and that's the refreshing thing of the movie is it's not like an, "Oh, I got you," she's trans
Yeah,
type of thing.
right.
Um,
Or she has to
there is
explain
an,
to
"Oh, I got you,"
everyone
but
she meets. Yeah.
right, right. Now she meets, Francesca is
Mm,
her name.
mhm.
Francesca comes into the coffee shop one day and starts to talk about her bangs, and, they kinda have a moment, and, as Francesca leaves, she says, "Oh, by the way, I'm Francesca," and you can just see this look in her eye, and Ricky has this look in her eye,
Mm.
so they've made a connection right there,
Right. Yeah. Right
and
before
that's
this, in the
awesome.
conversation, she also mentioned she might start dating women. Offhandedly, she jokingly says that.
Right. That is true. Yeah, actually, that's a very good point because her and Robbie are talking and she says, "Maybe I'll just date women." And Robbie's like, "Great. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
enjoy it,
I'm
why
a
not?
fan."
Yeah,
Right. Typical guy response.
right.
Um, but, so I how did they get together? Let's see. So I guess because she has a YouTube show, Ricky has a YouTube show.
Right.
Ricky invited Veronica Francesca, over to her house, and then Francesca is involved in this YouTube show while Robbie
Mhm.
is sitting there. Robbie leaves, they do this YouTube show. At the end of the show, they're like, oh my god, it was so much fun,"
Right,
and they
right.
hug, and they get really close, and then you see the fireworks, you see
Right.
you see how they're connecting,
Yeah,
and that's a beautiful thing, yeah.
yeah.
So,
And there Francesca's sort of her emotional state too is that she's engaged. That rock on her finger is a real rock. But
yeah,
her
yeah,
fiancé is in the military, in the Marines, and he's in Afghanistan. And so she
right,
has the emotional turmoil of both knowing that he's potentially in danger, but also that when he returns, they're gonna get married. Um, and
right,
so she's in this, um, personal, while Ricky is in this, maybe I'll date women and having trying to live her dream to become a fashion designer and meet someone. She meets someone who's got her own sort of concerns going on too, and they connect, and it's
right.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is great. It's awesome.
Pardon me.
So
One of
let's
those
see where
days.
we are. So there's a scene
Mhm.
where like 3 there's 2 guys 3 guys in the front or 2 guys in the front of a car. It's Robbie and a couple of his friends. They're going to pick Ricky up to go to a football game,
Mhm.
and the guys in the car are like, "Why do you like Ricky so much? Are you gay?" And he's
Right.
like, "No, I'm not gay. I just like talking to someone who doesn't talk about Pamela Lee's tits all the time,"
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And, and they're like, "Why?"
Right.
That's
Yeah.
and yeah, and so they're in the process of talking about how if you wanna, like, invite a girl who or a dude who thinks he's a girl,
Mhm.
and then she comes out, and their mouths just, like, get quiet, you can tell they're like, "Oh my god, this girl looks great."
Mhm.
She's like, "Are you sure I can go to the football game with y'all?" And they all are stuttering and
Yeah. Right.
so,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that's a nice little scene. It's like, okay, so,
Yeah.
no,
And again, this is
um,
2014, like you mentioned, so some of the terminology, I can imagine the phrasing be more like, "She was a biological man," or "biological boy." In today's time, they would have been saying that.
no,
The transphobia is under different terms, but it's still present in almost the same way,
it's still
interchangeably by
present.
the just the way you would refer to her that way. So I kept doing that every time,
And
scene came up of transphobia, like, especially with the future the mother-in-law. Was it the mother-in-law or the, um
whew, y
yeah.
the
Yeah,
yes,
we'll get
yes,
there, but,
yes.
I
So,
could heard that as
first of all,
biological
Ricky's
male.
mother
Mhm. Yeah, go. I'm sorry.
what's that? First of all, Ricky's mother passed away. Um, she says from cancer.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
yeah. Um, I'm trying to figure out where in the movie I want to go now.
mm,
So we went to the coffee shop, she films the YouTube scene, and there's some like you said, there's some outdated things about the movie, like,
mhm.
she asks Ricky for a tampon,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
she's like, "What? What? What?" And Ricky's like, "Come on now, what the f"
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
so Francesca realizes her mistake, and she's like, "Oh my god," and so, she leaves, and then the little brother, who was the YouTube filmer,
mhm.
he's like, what, 10, 13.
Yeah.
He has to go to bed, so he goes to bed. Francesca and Ricky kiss briefly, and then Francesca runs away.
Mhm.
And Ricky tries to go after her, but by the time she's going after her, her little brother's like, "Are you going to tuck me in?" And so she has
Yeah,
to
so she
let
has
Francesca go.
right, family
And
obligations interfere with with love as life
right,
interrupts, I guess is
right.
something. Yeah. So,
Right.
um
So by this time, Francesca knows that Ricky is trans, um, and
yeah, there's a cute little scene when
on
they're laying on
another
the bed where, um, she notices they talk about how she can't get pregnant and things of that nature.
yeah, so that is okay, so that is the scene where, um yeah, where they actually have sex. And she's like, "You're so soft like a girl," and then she says, "You're so hard like a boy."
Right, right.
Um,
So, oh
yeah,
my god. That's
so
yeah, I mean,
right,
that's not the greatest of dialogue, but, it was a sexy scene,
yeah.
you know?
Right, it was a sexy scene, but there's a little, like, and
Yeah.
they use things like genetic girl, and
Yeah.
if
Mhm.
if you were
That year's
around
version
in
of the
the early two
biological veil.
yeah, if you were around in the early 2000s, like mid 2000s, teens, like, genetic girl was the terminology. It was GG. Like, whenever you were on web forums or anything like that, it would be like GG. I wish I was like a GG.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it is really strange. But so the triangle
Mhm.
is that Robbie gets jealous, um, and he's
Yeah.
not sure why. And
The friend, right, the friend since
the
6 years
friend,
old.
yeah,
Yeah.
the best friend. Um, so since Ricky is a clothing designer, she makes Francesca's dress for a party that Francesca's father is throwing for her. Now, Francesca is rich, and
Mhm.
her father is super wealthy. He's a politician.
He's like a
He's
congressman. Yeah.
he's a congressman, yeah, super conservative, as is the family, and so the party is outdoors and, a bunch of rich people, Ricky and Robbie go to the party together, as dates, Francesca comes up and sees them, her and Ricky have this moment where they're looking into each other's eyes, and, then the party goes on and people are mingling. Two ladies are talking to Ricky
Mhm.
and Robbie,
Mhm.
and the ladies are like, "I can't believe who can believe we survived high school? I was fat, I had like pimply face," and then Ricky was like, "Well, I was a boy, so ha ha
Right,
ha,"
right,
and
yeah.
they're like, "Ha ha 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 ha." They didn't really pick up on that,
Mhm.
but Robbie pulls her away really quickly. Now throughout all this,
And she's I don't know, do
Francesca
you
has
think I don't mean to interrupt you, Onyx Rose, but do
no, go
you
ahead.
think that she was
Go
doing
ahead.
that to be spiteful, or do you think she was doing that just to be a sharing part of the conversation because it's not
Wait, at which
really
part?
with the conversation that you just mentioned at the dinner party? I know she was uncomfortable at the dinner party. She was apprehensive of how
Oh,
people were gonna look at her and how they were gonna treat her, and I know that she was
you
expressing
mean
that to
Ricky?
Robbie. Yeah, I'm sorry. Um, um,
Okay.
and so but in that exchange where Ricky talks to the women about how they've changed in high school, things like that. Do you think that she was doing it to be sort of, like, shocking on purpose, or do you think she was doing it because
I
she was just
do,
oh, okay.
actually.
Yeah, that was the okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think she was, ashamed or shy or
No,
making
at all.
like, I
Yeah.
think she was going for the shock, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
she
Okay.
was just
Yeah.
and essentially, she was just telling her truth, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And she wasn't gonna let anybody not tell her, you know, she
Mhm.
wasn't gonna let anybody stop her, so,
Or tell her not to be
um
proud of it. Yeah. Yeah.
right, exactly. So, you know, Francesca does have a fiancé throughout
Mhm.
show, and like Sammy said, the fiancé is a Marine. He is in Afghanistan. They do Skype meetings, Francesca and David.
Mhm.
David is his name.
Wow. Okay.
So
So
Francesca
much better than me.
and Dave Francesca and David have Skype meetings, and, you know, he says, you know, I'm not he says something about one thing about these Afghani people,
Mm.
is that they save themselves from marriage, just like you, my sweet virgin
Ooh.
princess.
Yeah.
And he says that to Francesca, and she's like, "Oh," just, you know, and she's like, it's kinda disgusting to
Mhm.
me,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I understand why they do it at the same time.
Yeah,
Um,
they it's an unusual well, like, not too unusual, I guess, vehicle for trying to up the tension in the relationship, this, keeping it that way in that purity, and then, of course, her
right.
cheating means more to in the story later on, but he's
Well,
got his own
when
issues. Yeah,
He
so
ha yes, he does. But while Ricky and Francesca were doing the do, Francesca's phone is ringing,
mhm.
and it's actually David,
Right. Yeah, from
calling
Afghanistan.
for their weekly or whatever flight. Right, and and Ricky even says, "Do you need to pick that up?" And she's like, "Oh, no." And so she puts that shit on mute, and,
Right.
you know, they go on about it.
Oh
So,
my god.
um,
Yeah. So, yeah. Uh,
so
and
they go to the ne go ahead.
go, go.
Oh, sorry,
No,
sorry.
no.
So the next
This is gonna be
the
fine.
next
This is good.
scenes are yeah, the next scenes are at the party, and the
Mhm.
party is outside. Ricky has made this beautiful dress for Francesca from a piece of cloth from Target. Francesca loves the dress.
Mhm.
Ricky and Robbie come to the party as dates. The Francesca's mother comes up to them and says, "Well, who are you?" And you know, Francesca introduces her mother to Ricky and says, "This is the
Yeah.
woman who's made the dress." And you know, the mother is like, "Oh, this is beautiful." And she says, "And who are you with?" And, you know, Robbie Riley. So
Mhm.
Robbie introduces himself, and she's like, "The rich just keep getting richer, you know?" And they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, well," you know, and she's like, you know, "And a talented stud muffin on your arm, or a good
Yeah.
looking stud muffin on your arm." And Ricky's like, "Oh, we're not dating." And, you know, the mother's like, "Well, something about it's
He's got a
clear to
thing for
see."
you. Yeah.
Right. You know, and, like, the funny thing I see is that everybody can see this
Except
except
yeah.
for you know, everybody sees this and everybody says it, but Ricky
Mhm.
can't see it and Robbie can't see it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see, I don't go ahead.
No, I was just gonna and of course, you said his name was David, I think. Is that right?
Yes,
Um,
David is the Marine from in Afghanistan.
right.
Right.
And being from that town, I mean, his Francesca's not from that town, but David is. So David knew both Robbie and Ricky from high school, and from
Right.
growing up. And
And
so
let me correct you really
oh, I'm sorry.
quickly.
Yes, please go ahead.
Francesca is from that town.
Oh, she just
She
was in
just went to summer school and school abroad all the time.
that's right. She
Yeah.
was, in boarding school from, like, 5 or something, as she said.
Boarding school, right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, okay,
So
and
sh
so
yeah.
but she doesn't have the tea. She doesn't know everybody's backstory, she doesn't know
No,
everybody's issues and
no.
past where the boyfriend knows, and the boyfriend's upset
Right,
that
right.
he's hanging or that she's hanging out with that and they use the tea slur. Um,
Yes, and
yeah.
he uses it liberally,
Yes, yeah.
and very virulently, you know,
Mhm,
just like
mhm.
picture any politician. Let's
Yeah,
see. Lady G. Let's picture Lady G. No.
Right? Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so yes, David the Marine is, he uses the T slur. You're with that,
Mhm.
I can't believe you're with, and he says, I'm going to be the laughing stock of the Marines. And then at
Yeah.
the
It's very how
party,
much it reflects on him. There's something about
yeah,
it that will reflect on him.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
We know
And
too.
then at the
Go ahead.
party, the senator, Francesca's father, you know brings everybody together and says, "We've got this surprise." Francesca's been talking to David on this Skype, and, I'm sure she's lonely, and so what I've done is made a call to some of my friends in Congress, and we've moved David to be closer to you. And so David comes out,
Yeah.
and you
Surprise.
can see in front. Yes, you can see in Francesca's face that she's like, "Oh." And then Ricky and Robbie in the background see it, and they're like, "You know what? We better go." You know?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they go, and on the side, uh, David and Francesca are having this conversation, and David's being rather loud and rather rude about, Francesca being with this she-male, this T-slur, um, y you know, and then the father hears, and he's like, What?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but Ricky," and he's like, "Oh, that girl over there? The girl who made the dress?"
Mhm.
And he's like,
Mhm.
and then David's like, "She's not a girl, sir."
Yeah.
Or he says,
Right.
"He's not a girl, sir."
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
dead yeah, he misgenders her, and he's like, "He's not a girl, sir." He's like, "He's a dude. He's got
Mhm.
tits up top and, dick down below," or
Right.
something like that.
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
really crude and disgusting. Um, and,
I love that
at that
Sturge is adding commentary on the side in the comments. He's like adding.
awesome!
Thank you,
Awesome.
Sturge.
At at that time, when he does that,
Yeah.
Francesca just goes off on him, you know?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, "Can't you get this through your fucking head? Can't you get this through your fucking head? She's a girl, goddammit. She's a
Mm.
girl," you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
then he's like, "Well, I don't," and then she says something to the effect of, "She's a girl and she can make any girl as happy as she would ever wanna be." And, like, at
Mhm.
that point, Dave's like, "What the fuck does that mean?" He moves to her, and the father grabs him by the throat
Yeah.
and
There's a
holds him and
yeah.
says, "She is my daughter, and she will make company with any person she wants to," and,
Yeah.
the
Right. Yeah.
Marine's
Good
like,
for dad.
"Yeah."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
good for
it's one of
them.
those examples where you anticipate something about to happen that that in a
Right,
darker, grittier movie might have gone to, but this one's not that type of movie. This is Disney
right.
level romantic. I mean, it's not quite Disney level, but it's definitely
It's not Disney level.
no, no, I don't mean it that way. And that's not derogatory in any way. I think that's a wonderful level. But,
Right.
um,
Okay.
I mean, it's like a romantic comedy. Like,
Right.
it's kept in that genre rather than it being gritty or more realistic. It has realistic
Well,
issues, but go. I'm sorry.
I think there, leading up to the end of the movie, it does get kinda real,
Mhm.
Francesca's mom visits her.
Yeah.
First of all, like, there is a very funny discussion between Robbie and Ricky as to what Ricky is supposed to do with a girl. Do
Mhm.
you remember that discussion?
The
Where
2
she's like,
fingers
"So,
or
how does it get wet? Do I get it wet? Does it
right.
smell like fish?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, 'cause he's never
All
been
that
with a girl.
all that kinda
Yeah.
stuff is, and Robbie's like, "Okay, yeah, Robbie's like, "Okay, confused gay chat room, go there."
Right, right. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but,
No, that's a key
let's
one, and
see,
when they have another discussion in the car where they talk about has he ever had, a girl explore him with 1 finger or 2, whether that's gay sex or not gay sex. Yeah.
right, and that's actually very funny. So, though that whole scene is very funny because
Mhm.
he's like, "Well, I can't believe it, but you had straight sex,"
Yeah.
And she's like, "So,"
No.
yeah, the whole finger thing. um, 1 or 2. And so, ooh, this is
Right,
kinda like a
right. But that's not gay sex,
but,
huh? Yeah.
so
I'm sorry, go ahead.
that's right, that's straight sex. No, go ahead, because I think
I
I'm
just
getting lost.
I found that conversation to be kinda charming just in the way that the extent to which he was willing to go down the slippery slope to just to absurdity just to deny that it was, that he would ever participate in anything gay, right? Because he
Right,
was
right,
and so in a way that structuring is just kinda charming. Um, but and then
yeah.
again, that's her with her best friend, right? The relationship, we understand the safety in that relationship because 'cause they've known each other forever, so, um, but
Right,
it's
and
fun to
this is
watch them
her
talk.
best friend and her
Mhm,
own best friend, like, she doesn't have anybody else, you
mhm,
know?
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
they have been, so, um, I can't remember where I am now in the movie,
Oh,
trying to figure it out, but,
then I'll just keep going.
um
I'll just
yeah,
keep
go ahead,
talking about
because
my
'cause I'm trying
favorite
to
episodes
figure
for a
out.
minute. So
Yeah,
the backstory for David, I mean, first of all, she's gets accepted, if I remember correctly, to go to the school. Um,
she
but
does not.
so I thought she needed money. What was the money
She
for? Was
does
that the
She needed money to go because she didn't get accepted to the school.
Oh.
What she ended up doing was going with Robbie anyway to New York to
Mhm,
live, to work, and to
mhm.
hopefully pursue her dream. But
Yeah,
she
okay.
didn't get accepted, yeah.
Yeah.
She got the
Alright.
small envelope, the thin envelope.
That's right, I
Um,
remember now, okay,
um,
the scene at the mailbox. Yeah,
uh,
but what also happens at that moment when she gets that letter is that David confronts her, in her front yard when she's receiving that letter about
yes,
did she sleep with his girlfriend,
Francesca,
Francesca?
yes.
And in that exchange, while he has her pinned to the ground and he's on top of her threatening to punch her, we
He's gonna
find out,
fuck
yeah,
her up.
right. She says something specific, which is, do you excited by being on top? If I remember correctly, you liked it better on the bottom. And all of a sudden now
Boom,
we know where his transphobia and his fear about being why he feels it all reflects on him that his girl or his wife is best friends or friends with or maybe slept with a trans woman or whatever is because he didn't want his secret that she and David were together. In fact, David took Ricky's virginity, and so so that's where the real fear and hostility was coming from. Did I just jump
um
us all around?
No, 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 that's perfect
Mm,
because you're right, that when she does pick that letter up from the mailbox and he does, like when he is on top of her and she
mhm,
does say, "As I recall, you liked it better on the bottom,"
mm.
he melts,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all of his bad guy demeanor just drops,
mhm,
and she says, "Despite how much of an asshole you've been. You were the first person,
yeah,
that I had sex with, and,
mhm,
you will always be special to me."
yeah,
And he
and it would
takes
always
off
be a secret.
as
She
as
didn't wanna demean that experience
right,
by, like, spreading it around. That was an
right,
important experience for her as it
right.
is for, I think,
It was
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, so she never told anybody. And Francesca drives up as David is walking away, and so Francesca is screaming, "David, David!" And then she's like, "Ricky, what's going on?"
mhm,
And Ricky's saying, "You need to talk to David." And Francesca says, "No, I'm talking to you." And
right.
Ricky's like, "No, talk to David."
Good
And
boundary
then
setting right there.
Ricky
Good boundary setting.
the good boundary setting, yes, yes, and then Francesca says, "You haven't been returning my calls, you've been
Mhm,
ignoring me," and then Ricky's like, "I've just got a lot going on," and Francesca's like, "You don't wanna see me anymore,"
mhm,
and all this has been precipitated by, the visit that Francesca's mom made to
yeah,
Ricky,
right,
and told her that, she needed to cut Francesca loose and because
yeah,
Francesca has a wedding to prepare
right.
for,
Well, I mean,
and that wedding is to David.
yeah, and in no uncertain
And
terms, she wants to put Ricky in her place. And that place is in
Right. You might as
Francesca's
well say
mind.
you had a birth defect.
Yep, right.
Yeah,
Oh
because
god,
she
that
says,
yeah. Trans woman's
yeah,
such an ugly
uh,
word. Transgender is such an ugly word. You might as
it's
well
such
just
an
say it's
ugly
a
word.
birth defect. Fuck you. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so there's a little bit of that catty exchange there, and
There's
Ricky
definitely
gives
a
as good as
catty
she
exchange.
gets. She gives as good as she gets, and her to her credit, Ricky, responds
She
with some,
does, she
yeah,
does.
yeah. But
But
that so
so,
that
you
affects,
know,
yeah, the
the
relationship. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So and Ricky did break up with Francesca. Ricky then is in her room, and Robbie comes in and he's like, knock, knock, knock. Can I come in? She's like, yeah, sure, and he's like, it's horror night because they watch TV shows weekly together. So he's like, so I heard you broke up with Francesca. And she said, well, how'd you hear? He said, small town, news travels, you are you. So
Yeah, yeah, right.
everybody's gonna know. And then he starts on and he's like he he's yelling at her for like because she broke up with Francesca and said she didn't love Francesca.
Mhm,
And he's like, so I can't remember the word he said. Sentence he said, oh my God, I just had it. Oh, he said, he was saying something, he said something like, you can be like, just like he said, "You can be just like a biological girl, you
oh,
can be such a bitch sometimes." You remember that?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then he
yeah,
says, "You're not a girl," and he and you're not a
mhm,
and she says, "I'm not a what?"
right,
And he tries to take it back. The air is
mhm,
like tense and heavy. And he explodes. He says, you're not a girl, you're not a boy, you're not anybody.
mhm,
And she's like, she starts crying and she's like, thank you, okay, fine. And she goes off.
yeah,
And, as Robbie is just sitting there, um, Ricky's
devastated, yeah,
brother
mhm,
has found something on her laptop, and it's a file, and it is the movie that she's been making, that tells about her mother not really dying from cancer, but leaving because she couldn't take that Ricky is
mhm.
trans.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's this
and
backstory for her, is that her motivations throughout this is that she believes that her mother rejected her because of her transness, and yeah, and so she feels that loss throughout the whole thing. We don't know that until this point. But you're right, they hint at it kind of at the beginning to kind of give you an understanding of it. But yeah, it's a
right,
powerful
right.
scene, especially the fight with her best friend, because her best friend is kind of like trying to knock her off her pedestal for her own good, for lack of a better, I mean, I don't know, he's trying to, say, "You need to
I don't
break
know if
down
it's
your
for
walls."
Robbie, you mean? Like, when they had
He
well, I think Robbie
it
like,
starts that
Robbie,
way.
he was
He out of
trying
care,
it
but he
starts that
goes
way.
too far for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah.
He
Yeah.
goes too far. He, like, gets to the point of no return, like,
Mhm.
where he says, "You're not a," and then she's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"I'm not a what?" And she makes him say it. She
Yeah.
makes him say it, and he says it,
Yeah.
and she starts, she's like, "Thank you," and,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
and she said, something about Robbie said something about, "Without regret, I have been on your side since the 5th grade,
Right.
always by your side." And she says something to the effect of, well, and that's why I always thought that you would be the one I could count on. And now
Mhm.
I know that I can't. So
Yeah. Yeah.
my group got even smaller. It's just
Right.
me. And
Yeah.
so she walks out, she's crying. And Robbie sees this file that the brother shows him.
Mhm.
And
Just to
then
make it
he
resonate
gets,
more generally, it would be equivalent in a relationship or a long-term marriage where someone basically said the first to say, "I want a divorce," during a fight, right? You
yes,
can't take that
yes.
back once
You
it's
can't take
out.
it back.
Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah.
Um, so Robbie sees this file. Um, he understands what's going on.
Mhm.
He's immediately runs out of the house, hops in the car, starts going from place to place. This is at night. So he's looking for her. It's dark. They have this watering hole that they go to where they
The
go
swimming
swimming.
hole. Yeah.
Yeah, the swimming hole. And, so it's dark, he's running, he's screaming, he's screaming, "Ricky, Ricky,
Right,
Ricky,"
he's worried.
and
Yeah.
he can't find
Yeah.
her. Yeah, he's worried, he's scared, and we find out that he's scared because, he feels like she could hurt herself,
Mhm.
because that's what it says in the video. So, you know he's yelling for her, he finally gets to the swimming hole, he's still yelling, he can't see her, it's dark,
Yeah.
and she's
Mhm.
in the water, and she's like, "What do you want?" And,
Yeah.
he's like, "I saw the" he said and she said, "I'm fine, I told you I was fine." And he was like, "I saw the video." And he was like, "You" and she was like, "You broke into my computer?" And he was like, "No, your brother showed me." And so, and then he goes on to say, "Ricky, why didn't you tell me these things?" And
And I
she
think her
says, "Well,"
response is the most telling. I think that that really is the
she
most
was
telling is how she responds.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because she said, if I had told you, you may have left me, and I wouldn't have had anyone. I
Or that
couldn't have
she was
taken it."
worried that you would think that I was mentally ill, and then you would treat me different, and we wouldn't have had the experiences of our childhood growing up the way we did,
And she
right?
couldn't take the chance.
She needed to hold those. I mean, that's what we do as trans women, right? We take it all and we keep it
Right,
in because we can't, and so she's just, expressing some of those internal struggles that are present, and not being able to share that because then you'll look at me different because all of my fears are associated to you looking at me different, and
right, exactly,
not accepting me. Yeah. So
exactly.
yeah.
So, they're at the watering hole, she's in the water, um, Robbie says something, I can't remember exactly what he says, but Ricky is like,
Mhm,
and this is where you can see, like, the tension, like, it's like she says, "You be very careful right now, Robbie."
mhm.
And when she said that, I was just like, "Oh, fuck." The
Yeah.
first time I saw it, and even all these times later, I've seen it well over 100 times, and even then, even now, like, when she says that, I'm like,
Yeah.
because the next line is either make it or break it.
Mhm.
And he confesses his love right there. And, he's always loved her. And he says she's so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. And she's in the water. So she comes out the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
And it is full frontal.
All the way. Mhm.
She's a trans woman. So full frontal. She has not had bottom surgery yet.
Mhm.
Um, so she and Robbie are standing like this, and she's like, "Do you still love or do you still think I'm beautiful?"
Mhm.
And he smiles, and then they kiss, and, you know, she whispers something in his ear, and he's like, "Okay, I'm a little uncomfortable. This is making me even," and then she does something else, and then, they fall to the ground, and,
Yeah.
then the next scene is them in bed the next morning, um, and, they're together, it's great,
Mhm.
and then it cuts to Francesca driving up to see David.
David. Yeah.
David is the Marine. So,
Can we talk about the full
Francesca.
frontal scene for a second?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes,
No,
go
no, no. I mean, because I find it's a continuation of a trope, but at the same time, it's an important differentiation. So, unlike in the Crying Game, where the full frontal was the point of the movie and what you weren't supposed to tell your friends because it would give away it all, you know,
right.
what's the one where I see dead people?
Yeah, yeah, Sixth Sense.
Yeah, you weren't
Sixth
supposed to
Sense.
tell everyone he was. I don't want to give it away now, but he, just in case you haven't seen it, it's been out for about 40 years. What? But
Mhm.
Crying Game was the point behind that movie was the full frontal and the shock of it, and of course,
Right.
how he reacted to it. And of course, it became the trope that was in made fun of the vomiting, um, and so it's interesting to see it not reacted in this situation with that vomiting that that
Right.
the what you might find in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, of course, that scene where they make fun of the Crying Game with the vomiting of seeing it being exposed to a trans woman's member is so horrific. You need to rest.
Well, he did
Um,
and to be fair, he did say not David,
mm,
Robbie was like,
mm,
I'm a
mhm,
little
yeah,
out of
yeah,
my comfort zone." But
mhm,
he to his credit, he said he's a little bit out of his comfort zone, but he did not leave. you
Yeah.
know? It
No,
did
and
not
he said she
stop
was
him.
beautiful. It did not, I
He
mean, it
said she was
wasn't.
beautiful.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's in a powerful scene. It turns that whole.
It's an
Yeah.
extremely powerful scene. I cry all the time when I watch it, so if I start crying now,
Right.
don't
No,
worry.
yeah. It's a
Um,
fairy tale.
uh
It's a, yeah.
Yes. So cut to the next morning, they're in cut to Francesca and David. So
Mhm, mhm,
Francesca apologizes, "David, can you ever forgive me? I cheated on you, and that is not right." So,
mhm,
y you
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
she's talking and David's like and she's like, "I just don't know how you can hate so much."
Mhm.
Like Ricky is not the problem. People like Ricky are not the problem.
Yeah.
And then he says, "I slept with her."
Mhm.
And she looks at him like, "What?" She couldn't understand that. And
Right.
then he
Yeah.
said, "The summer before we got together,
Mhm,
me and Ricky did all there is to do." And, she's kind of dumbfounded. And you could tell by her facial expression that she's like, she's like
mhm.
mentally
Yeah,
working
right.
through. Yeah, yeah. And, he's like, he said something to the effect of like, it was that I just wanted to be close to her, you
Mhm,
know? And I
mhm.
thought that was the most beautiful thing, like, he just
Yeah,
wanted to be close to her,
yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't about I mean, yeah, it was about the sex, but it wasn't about it was just,
It was
wanting to
her
be
too.
close to
Yeah,
someone. Right,
yeah. It
right.
was her
And
wholeness, her being, her person, her
right,
whatever. Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. Seen
And
in that
so
way.
that was yeah, to be seen in that way, yes,
Mhm,
yes.
mhm.
And so Francesca and David, do the thing. Francesca says, like David says, "Do you still think you'd want to marry me?" Francesca says, "Yes," but she says, "I still can't. The way you hate, while it's good for our country, is not good for the relationship."
Yeah.
She says, "Why don't we take some time, learn to love each other as ourselves out in the open and not
Mhm.
all these secrets,
Yeah.
you know? And so they postpone the wedding for a bit, but she says that she's going to marry him um,
Mhm.
after a while.
They have
So,
to do some healing. They have to do some growth, some work, self-work. They
yes,
need some self-work.
self work. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, they're a cute couple, I guess, right? I mean, you want everyone to be happy in this movie,
I want everybody to be happy. I kind
except the
of wished,
mom.
except for the mom, yes.
Right.
Um, but, so as the movie is ending,
Mhm.
Robbie and Ricky are going to New York. Um, uh, you know,
Yeah.
so they've packed up. Ricky is getting in the car, and Robbie's like, "You know what? You should just go check your mailbox. I just saw the post person delivered the
Mhm.
mail."
Mhm. Mhm.
So she's like, "Why?" And she's all pissy, like, "Why are you making me check the mailbox?" She checks the mailbox, opens a letter that's sent to her. It's got a dollar bill in it.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" And then she opens another one. It's got another dollar bill, and she's like, "Why are people sending me dollar bills?"
Mhm.
And then, Francesca and David come with, like, these big duffel bags
Full of.
full of money,
Mhm.
And what happened earlier in the show was that somebody had said something to the effect of, "You should send it off to someone on YouTube, so that
Mhm.
they can get one of your designs." What
Yeah.
Francesca did was sent that dress that Ricky made her to a designer on YouTube. The
Mhm.
designer on YouTube found out that Francesca did not get accepted to this big hoity-toity, New York City school. Not Francesca, Ricky
Ricky.
didn't get
Yeah.
accepted to the school.
Yeah.
She said, but to further Ricky's, desire to become a fashion designer, I'm
Mhm.
going to mail $1 to her, and I suggest all my fans do the same. So in that
Yeah.
way, like, they had a grip,
It's an
they
right.
got a grip of money. Yeah.
Right. No, and it
So
came at the right time to help finance the trip to New York and finance her
yeah.
dreams, and, and it's just a wonderful way for the movie to end. She's with her high school, well, childhood friend, and they love each other, and they know that they love each other, and then she's gonna go off and join her go off and explore the world.
Um,
it's a fun movie. It ends really well.
oh.
I really enjoyed it.
So it ends well. The good thing about the way it ended is it wasn't any kind of trans death. Now I know there was that one scene, but,
Mhm.
but there was no, like, it was not violence for or aggression just for aggression's sake,
Yeah,
or just
right.
to poke at the trans person.
No.
It was to further the story, and I think the story was done with care and understanding of trans people,
Yeah,
and without some of the more disgusting elements that movies tend to bring in
yeah.
about trans people.
No, I
Um,
I agree. It covers the topics, but it covers them in a way that's not only respectful, but at the same time, it
right,
also they're digestible and understandable because, I mean, there is a difference. But I'm going to use the movie that we reviewed last time, Autumn and I reviewed last time, um, Tangerine. So that one, there is no explaining what trans people are,
right,
and in this movie, there's a bit of assumed understanding that you know what trans people are too. Um,
right,
and much like Tangerine. And Tangerine doesn't really deal with transphobia. And it does in a way, but it isn't like a societal way. It's more of just, fuck you, way to pick at someone in a fight, right? Um,
right,
and but and in this one, transphobia is involved, but it's involved in a way that isn't the main focus of the story. Uh,
right,
it isn't that, it's the relationship and the seeking of the love and the making the dreams come true that's the main focus of the story. Uh,
right.
but it's a really enjoyable movie to watch and to put on a Sunday. I know that you watch it often, and I can
I
understand why.
do.
I know why. I mean, it's a great one on a Sunday afternoon when it's raining and cold, and some tea
Right,
and watch the movie.
right.
It's a great way to spend a day. So I really I'm glad that you picked it. It's wonderful. So
Thank you. It's my one of my favorite movies. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll probably watch it again tonight. Now that we're talking about it, I'm gonna watch it
Yeah.
so I can, like, go through and, like, pick out some of the
Well,
different parts.
you described it amazingly. You told the story perfectly. I'm sorry that I kept hijacking it and made you bounce over.
No,
But
thank you. I'm glad that you were throwing stuff in because I was forgetting things, like
no, no. So I was thinking since it did show that full frontal and we did mention the crying game, and it's been a very long time since I've seen it, and I don't know whether you've ever seen it. Um,
I have,
uh,
yeah.
okay.
I
Um,
actually saw it in the movie theater.
oh wow. So back in the day when it came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I did not. I saw it on cable or on a VHS or something like that probably. But, why don't we watch that one for next week and talk about it? Is that okay? Do you feel okay about
Okay.
doing that? Oh, god darn it, I forgot
Yeah.
to
Oh,
say
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bam, bam.
Right? That was like a
Yes.
drum solo. Right?
Yeah, no, I feel yeah, we can do that. The Crying Game.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Alright, so for the next week, we'll review, The Crying Game, the movie that inspired many a gag about retching
Yes.
when but, at the same time, it also is a good movie. It's unfortunate
Right,
that that's sort of the centerpiece of the movie. But anyway, so we'll watch
right.
that and we talk about it, and that'll be a lot of fun. And, um, it's good to have you here. Thank you for being here for this. This was a difficult episode, so
It's,
thank you. Yeah.
it's great to be with you. Well,
Yeah, and I'm glad that you'll be back next week. So,
yes, I will. As
good deal.
long as you want me, I will be here.
Cool, then we've got a show. Anyway,
Uh,
alright, I still would I mean, it's late, and I have to go, but I'm sure that we've been talking for a long time, so I'd like to sort of, like, I guess, wrap this up. Um, and you do I know your closing, that you love to do your closing, and I love your closing because I get to flip someone off, and it's so cathartic. So, why don't you give your closing first, if you wouldn't mind, and I'll try not to whack my microphone when I do the flipping off. Alright, let's
Okay.
go.
So, it's no trash,
Mhm,
no transphobia,
mhm.
no racism,
Yeah.
no ableism, no sexism, no homophobia, no xenophobia, no Islamophobia, uh, fuck no, 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 we're gonna say
Oh,
reparations.
oh, yeah.
Then we say land back,
Right,
and
yes.
then we say no borders, and that's when we go say, "Fuck
Fuck
Trump, fuck
fuck
ICE,
ice.
and fuck
Fuck
cancer."
cancer. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you very much again, OnyxRose, for being here and for sharing this night with me. It's good to be back. It was a difficult
Um,
time, and it's difficult to do, but it's good to be talking with people, and thank you all for being here in the show. And your
Thank
comments are
you.
wonderful in the
Yeah.
hearts. You're all I just got I want to say thank you. You made this week possible for me in a lot of ways, Substack, so to you, thank you. And thank you for
Thanks,
being there and all your kind
Sturge.
words.
Hi,
Yeah.
Lisa. Hi, everybody. To you.
So I just want to say to all of our siblings, you're valid, you're loved, you're seen, and to transparents, I know that this is difficult, especially this time right now. But the fact that love your children is so amazing, and thank you for being who you are, and for believing and for fighting for your kids and for loving them unconditionally. And then to Autumn, I just want to say we did another one, girl, and I love you, girl, and I always will. And I want all of you to be safe, be happy, and I love you all. Bye bye. I can't end it. I don't know how. I think I hit this button. Let's see. Uh, this is embarrassing. They move things around. Oh, there's the end. Hi. That's me floundering. Have a great night. Love you.